Hey there. For most of you that follow us on our YouTube channel or our website here at 5Market Realty, you remember we used to do weekly or by the game for Georgia football prediction contest. We did it for 2 or 3 years, started it back in COVID to kind of have a fun way to interact with our clients and our friends, and also to encourage people to go to local businesses, usually restaurants. The winner of the prediction contest, once you send that in, we determine the winner, and then they get a gift card to a local Athens business. This year, we kind of were a little busy. I felt like I was creating more work for myself, and I decided not to do them. Now I'm here in the office on Sunday after the Georgia-Florida game, and Georgia won the game. 34-20, I believe, was the score, and usually a Florida game feels great. It's always great to beat Florida. But something's just sitting not well with me as a Georgia fan. And I don't know if it's the 3 turnovers. I don't know if it's the Florida quarterback injury. But this Florida win feels not as great as all the other ones have. And this week, I feel like Georgia's really true test is coming ahead, going to Oxford this week, then coming back home to play Tennessee, who has also had one loss, and then still having to finish the season with Georgia Tech and, of course, UMass. But really the next 2 weeks. So I think to myself, you know what? I'm a superstitious kind of guy. The SEC, the football prediction contests were fun. Georgia was doing a little better. Let's bring it back. So here we are. We're going to do a prediction contest for the Ole Miss game. If you know how this works, you pick the score, and whoever ends up being the closest, you don't have to get it exactly right, but whoever was the closest to the actual score will win. And sometimes we have to have a drawing because there's a lot of people that are similar. But what I want to talk about is something I don't usually do. Instead of talking about my prediction, I want to talk about Ole Miss and something that's kind of irking me. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and Georgia played Ole Miss, I believe, about every year, if it wasn't every year. It was kind of a, not really a rivalry, but a friendly relationship between the fan bases, similar fan bases, really, especially in that time. And Oxford's a great place to go. I know a lot of people in Athens that chose Ole Miss as their school to go to and enjoyed time in Oxford. I've been there, nothing but lovely things to say about it. But something seems to have changed, and I think it started with the Hugh Freeze era. Ole Miss seems to have this arrogance about them now. And maybe that's just my perception, but it really irks me to get arrogant Ole Miss fans. And let me just be straight. Ole Miss, hey, I don't mean to offend, but you haven't won a championship since the early 60s. The early 60s. We're talking, what is that, 40, 60 something years ago? And then in the 2000s, there's a 2003 SEC West division that you lost in a tiebreaker to LSU. So where is this arrogance coming from? I mean, look at what they like to do here. Let's go up. Let me hit this screen a little bit. Let's look at this season. So they lost to South Carolina, but before then, early in the season, 52 points on Middle Tennessee, 76 points on Furman. Who needs to put 76 points on Furman? What are we doing there? I mean, Furman, yeah, you should stop them, but 52 points on Georgia Southern. And then they hung 63, I think it was, on Arkansas this past Saturday. So, hey, let me be clear. They can play. But I want to take you to something that also kind of irks me. Let's go to this YouTube clip, and I hope this is going to clear and be okay with copyrights as I upload this video. This is when, if you remember, they lost to Kentucky. This is a clip of the game when I was watching. They went up 17-13. Look over here to the left of where the camera's about to pan. Look at the time in the game. It's third quarter. Kentucky is an unranked team at home. You just went up by 4 points to Kentucky at home. It is the third quarter. You have not won the game. You have not made certain that you have won the game. It's also Kentucky at home. You haven't won a championship. But look at the celebration. We're going to shoot off a fire extinguisher. And pardon me, that might be Coach Kiffin's son. That might be another coach's kid. And I'm not trying to make fun of the young man. But there's something telling there about that reaction and that celebration, the basketball goal on the sideline. And that day, the end zone said the SIP. Now, in 2016, they had a good team back in the Hugh Freeze era, Kirby Smart's first year. I remember going over there that week as a Georgia fan, kind of being ornery because I knew what was going to happen, and I didn't want to see my team get their tail whipped by Ole Miss, and they sure did. And I don't want to see that happen again because right now, Ole Miss is not a rival of Georgia, but they're really irking me. And you can ask my wife. I've been complaining about this for years. I don't know where the arrogance is coming from. And the last thing I want to see is my beloved Bulldogs go to Oxford and take an L. So send us your prediction. I'm going to tell you it's going to be a high-scoring game. Their quarterback's going to be wearing eye paint under one eye. Who knows what ours is going to be wearing? He came out in Florida totally covered. But he's going to go for it on fourth downs. They might even onside kick. 38-41, something like that is probably going to be the score of this game. I'm picking the Dogs 41-38. and you send us your prediction. Sorry for the rant. It's not something I usually do. Apologies to any Ole Miss fans out there that happen to be our clients. I just have to tell you what I think, which is something I'm known for. Have a great week. Go Dogs. Beat Ole Miss. Beat Ole Miss. Beat Ole Miss. Go Dogs.